If you want to learn about all of the stars, pick one to study deeply. Humans love to make generalizations. This is what we call understanding, actually. We collect several points of data and generalize from there to come up with a theory of how things are. It's kind of an amazing facet of the human mind that it can do that, and we use that capability all of the time. Once we have come to our conclusion, then we pretty much take it for granted until something seriously challenges that theory. And that's also a good thing. We don't want to always be overturning everything. There's a certain stability in knowing, okay, yeah, I've looked at that, I've come to this conclusion, and that seems to be the case, and you kind of rest there. But sometimes the environment brings up a challenge to the theory. And if you're open-minded, if you look at your theory again, you may start to see that there is more to it than you originally found, and there may be a better theory underlying that one. And that's what this process of inquiry is all about. So this is how my beliefs are formed and maintained. I often become blind to new data because it's easier just to stick with the theory that I have. After all, I already understand. So theories or beliefs are fine until they stop working. In my personal life, beliefs stop working when they cause me stress. Stress or emotional pain is the sign that my belief is not working for me. I'm missing something, and I need to look again at what I'm believing. This looking again is done in the Work of Byron Katie, which is a method that I use of 4 questions and turnarounds. And you do this by identifying, first of all, a stressful thought, and then going through a process of questioning it. This process of questioning a belief and finding evidence for the turnarounds or the opposites is the process of deconstructing a belief. It is the same process of making a generalization, but in reverse. In generalizing or coming up with a belief, I start with a few specific experiences and construct a theory based on those data points. In the work, which is the deconstruction of a belief, I go back to each point of data that is upholding my general theory and question it. If the original data points are not true, the whole theory fails. That's why the work deals with specifics so much. If you want to question a general theory, question a specific instance of it. Specifics are what hold up general theories. It doesn't matter how you're working on it. You could be using the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet or the One Belief at a Time worksheet to identify the thoughts you want to question. The principle is the same. If you try to work it in general, it may be difficult. But if you can find a specific situation as a reference point for your work, chances are you'll be pulling the rug out from under your general theory with very little effort. After all, it only takes one data point to destroy a theory. One anomaly will destroy a theory. So how do you do this? There are 2 main ways to get specific when you're doing the Work of Byron Katie. One is let life show you. And the second is look for a specific instance. In the first approach, life will inevitably bring you a situation that is stressful. You don't have to plan for it at all. No need to sleuth it out, no need to strategize, just show up and let life find the specific situations for you to work. Life is an endless supply of these kinds of specific situations. I've come to really trust this approach. It keeps me always working within specific situations, and I find that without any planning or extra work, my biggest theories do come falling down. It's really the easiest way to do it. Just let life show you, and you'll be working on the most important, next relevant piece of research that you could be doing with this approach. The second approach, however, is a different approach, and it's also valuable. In this approach, I start with a larger issue, for example, a theory, and I work backwards to find the specifics. Maybe I want to work on money. That's a broad topic. Maybe I know I have money issues. Maybe I have a general belief that money is bad. I can work the general belief that money is bad, but I often find that doing so is too vague. I don't even know what I mean by money is bad. It's too general and it's too elusive to get very far with it. Instead, I look for a specific instance when I had the thought that money is bad. For example, I remember working for a big hotel one summer as a groundskeeper. I was making $7 an hour, where guests were paying $500 to $2,000 a night, and this was decades ago, so that was a lot of money. So that's specific, but I can get even more specific. I can remember my boss telling me that someone sued the hotel because they tripped on a slight bump in the sidewalk. I can still feel my nearly 3-decade-old rage against this person who sued rather than take responsibility for looking where they walked. That is a great Judge Your Neighbor worksheet for me about money, but in a really specific situation. That incident, that image, has been and still continues in some ways to be a reference point for me in my life. It upholds the theory that money is bad and people who have money are bad, and there's just this whole story around it. So when I work this kind of story, when I work this kind of situation, then chances are my theory will begin to crumble and may even weaken or even completely fall. I don't know. This is how I zoom in to study just one reference point, and I can continue finding other specific situations related to money and question those stressful thoughts contained there as well. If I work more data points like this, the whole story of money is bad may have nothing left to hold it up. This is the value of using specifics to gain leverage in working any general theory. If you want to get a lot of practice doing this, then I suggest that you take the Work 101 course, which is all about identifying stressful thoughts and getting really specific and using those specifics to undo and see new versions of the theories that we already are believing. So I'll end with a quote from Byron Katie from her book, Loving What Is. Often beneath the judgments we've written lie other thoughts. These may be thoughts that we've believed for years and that we use as our fundamental judgments of life. In most cases, we haven't ever questioned them. I call these thoughts underlying beliefs. These beliefs are broader or more general versions of our stories. Some underlying beliefs may expand a judgment of an individual to include an entire group of people. Some are judgments about life that may not sound like judgments at all. But if you notice that you feel stress when you become aware of these beliefs, they may be worth investigating.